Welcome to the Science of Strong Relationships. I'm Alex.
And I'm Ben.
You know, Alex, people, they often talk about relationships as if they're a kind of magic. You fall in love and you just hope it works out. But the more I learn, the more I see it's less like magic and more like tending to a garden. I love that analogy. It's not a passive thing, it requires active care. And fascinatingly, science actually gives us a blueprint for what that care looks like.
Hmm.
It's not about these grand, dramatic gestures, but small, consistent, and really skillful actions. Okay, so let's break that down. If we're building a healthy relationship, what's the first set of tools we need? Well, it starts with what researchers call proactive maintenance. I know, it's a bit of a clinical term, but it just means, actively looking after your relationship. A huge review of studies found 5 key strategies that really work. Okay? The first is openness, which isn't just about being honest, right? It's about genuinely sharing your inner world, your hopes, your worries, and yeah, exactly. And just as importantly, creating a safe space for your partner to do the same without fear of judgment. Exactly. And then the second is positivity. This doesn't mean being like fake happy, but consciously bringing an attitude of cheerfulness and fun into your interactions. Right. It's about enjoying each other. Then you have assurances, the small ways you signal your commitment and show your partner the relationship is solid, like talking about the future or just a simple, I'm so glad you're in my life. And the last two are really practical, sharing tasks,
Hmm.
which is about making sure all that life admin, all that work feels fair and balanced, and then using a shared social network, actively bringing friends and family into your shared life. It's like the architecture of a shared world. But Ben, we all know it's one thing to talk about being positive when things are good. What happens when emotions run high? And that brings us to the engine that powers all of this, emotional intelligence, or EQ. This is probably the most crucial skill. The Gottman Institute, which has studied couples for decades, says it's about being able to name what you're feeling and, right, crucially, to tune into what your partner is feeling. It's the difference between reacting and responding. So instead of, immediately defending yourself in an argument, you take a breath and you translate your anger. Yeah. You might say, I'm feeling hurt right now, instead of, you always do this. And on the flip side, you learn to validate your partner's feelings. Before you try to fix anything. There's a powerful example of a couple, let's call them Alex and Jordan. Alex would come home from a tough day and Jordan would just immediately offer solutions. Oh, making Alex feel like a problem to be solved, not a person to be heard. Exactly. But once they learned about EQ, the next time Alex came home stressed, Jordan just listened and said, "That sounds incredibly overwhelming. Wow, I get why you're so exhausted." And in that moment, Alex felt truly seen. That one shift began to transform their connection. It's a practice called an emotion coaching conversation, which is the perfect bridge to our final pillar, what to do with conflict. Because, every relationship has it. The old way of thinking is that conflict is a battle. Right. It's someone wins, someone loses. But all the psychological research is clear that is a recipe for resentment. The goal has to be a win-win, where you're not opponents, but a team facing a problem together. And there's a clear 4-step path to get there. 1, pause if emotions are high. Okay? You can just agree to take a 20-minute break. You can't find a solution in a state of fury. 2, commit to the team mindset. Verbally agree, okay, we're going to solve this together. Step 3 is purposeful listening, like truly trying to understand what your partner needs to feel like they've won. And finally, step 4 is creative problem solving. Now that you both feel heard, you're on the same team. Now you can brainstorm solutions that genuinely work for both of you. It's a complete reframe. A disagreement shifts from being a threat to the relationship, totally, to an opportunity to understand each other more deeply and build even more trust. It all comes back to that idea of intentional care, the small everyday rituals, like how you say goodbye in the morning and greet each other at night. Researchers even have a name for that, launching and landing rituals. They set the emotional tone for everything else. It's not magic and it's not always easy, but it is a set of skills. And like any skill, the more you practice, the stronger your connection becomes. Now, here's a question we'd like you to think about. Of the skills we talked about today, openness, positivity, emotional intelligence, or the team approach to conflict, which one feels like the biggest opportunity for growth in your own relationships? And what is one small thing you could do this week to practice it?